Our theme these past few weeks has been, it's not a matter of if, but when. And nowhere is this if, not but when matter of living life more evident than when we encounter struggles and problems that stop us dead in our tracks, and usually at a time we least expect them. Last week we discussed the plight of a godly man in the Bible by the name of Job, a man who had it all, yet through no fault of his own, lost it all, as God gave permission for the devil to sift Job like wheat, leading Job into utter despair and hopelessness. Which one might rightly ask, why would God do such a thing? The answer, to test Job's faith. We learn Job will need 3 attributes to maintain his faith in God during these difficult times: patience, confidence, and remaining of good cheer. Sounds difficult to me, especially that part about remaining cheerful while going through extreme trials and tribulations. Recently, a dear friend of mine, 15 years my senior by the way, was lamenting the fact that in the past 12 months, his wife of 50-plus years had passed away, as well as 6 very close friends. I asked how his faith was holding up during this difficult time of losing so many folks in his life, to which he responded, "All I know to do is trust in God and follow the 3 P's of faith." Since I'd never heard of the 3 P's of faith, I asked him, and here was his response. The first P stands for promise, meaning that faith always starts with a promise from God. But then something strange happens after we receive his promise. A problem arises to challenge God's promise. Yet since we know that God is not a God of empty promises, we then must lean on him for something called a provision. So what is a provision? Well, Webster's defines provision as the act or process of providing what's needed at the very time it is needed. A provision is a stock of needed materials for future use. For instance, ever since the pandemic, me and Susan have stocked up on toilet paper because, as we learned over the past 2 years, it is the one provision you're always going to need. A provision of something assumes that you will one day need the provision. So back to the 3 P's of faith, let's turn to 1 Peter 1:6, where we are told that during times of great trials and tribulations, we are to rejoice. In other words, there's that being of good cheer we talked about earlier. So how can we remain of good cheer during trials? Well, look at verse 7. So that the proof of your faith, which by the way, your faith is more precious than gold, may be found to result in praise and glory and honor at the revelation of Christ. So as we cling to this promise of faith, we are reminded in Job 2:10 that God is both the author of the promise and allower of the problem. Why? Well, it appears God allows the problems to come so that our faith in him can be strengthened as we wait on God's provision. And assuming you're struggling right now with the worries of the world and feel as though the faith in God is wearing thin, might I suggest you go back to the 3 P's of faith to be reminded that God described in the Bible that we're talking about will never leave you nor forsake you.
Thanks for watching. We hope you enjoyed that video. If you'd like, check out these other clips. And be sure to hit that like button and that subscribe button for more videos.